Who do you think the court is alluding to, sir?
No, those who were in power at the center in those days. I've mentioned this clearly in my autobiography, The Road Well Traveled, that was released a couple of years ago. In that I had mentioned a few personalities. I don't know whether I named, my memory may trip me off, but I've clearly said those who are in Delhi, they are trying to malign me to make sure that I didn't get at the truth. And so this is painful, but in retrospect, I'm happy that I stood up to the challenge and I did not wilt. I must also state here that nobody dared to approach me directly to do this or that. I was left absolutely alone, severely alone, to do what I wanted and state what was revealed in my investigation.
But there was pressure. There was pressure to fix Narendra Modi. Sensational revelations by RK Raghavan this evening. Obviously, stands vindicated by the court. Now, Mr. Raghavan, the likes of RB Srikumar, Sanjeev Bhatt, both former police officers, said that Modi held a meeting. They said Modi held a meeting telling officials to allow rioters to vent their anger. Now, I want to ask you, why do you think that you became convinced of Modi's innocence in these riots and felt that these charges were false? And why do you think that this wasn't also accepted by the court?
No, I'll tell you. That's something concrete about that significant meeting. We checked, we examined everyone who was known to have been present. There are some people, I mean, there was imagination is running riot, so-and-so was present, so-and-so did this and all that. We examined, everyone was present at that said meeting, and nobody confirmed that Mr. Modi ever said this or that. So when I had such evidence, could I have taken Mr. Modi to court? That would have been falsehood, and egg would have been on my face. And so late in my career, and after having been chosen by no less than the Supreme Court of India, could I have padded up evidence? So the evidence we picked up clearly was that nothing of that kind was said by Mr. Modi, and so it's not a question of benefit or doubt. Clearly, no one ever told us that Mr. Modi said this or that. So when that is the case, I was very clear. I've never tense. I was very relaxed, and then, I mean, it may not be very appropriate to say this at the time. I used to go to the temple near the SIT office in the cantonment. There is a Lord Hanuman temple. Every Tuesday I used to go there and pray for courage and strength. And Lord Hanuman gave me this. And it may be, this reference to Lord Hanuman may, some people may consider it inappropriate, but I am bold. I am very bold. He is my favorite deity, and I derive a lot of courage. I just used to sit and meditate, and this gave me courage, and I didn't wilt. Nobody could threaten me to say and do this or that.
Well, yes, in today's day and age, if you say you're a Hanuman Bhakt, then you sing or chant the Hanuman Chalisa, it can land you in trouble, Mr. Raghavan. So, let's get back to this. Mr. Modi appeared before the SIT led by you. Now, what was about his responses that convince you of his innocence?
Yeah, I'll tell you. Here again, as a professional police officer, I stayed away from that interrogation because as head of the SIT, I should not have been present. I deputed my DIG, a priceless officer called Ashok Malhotra. I asked him. He went there. Ironically, the whole interrogation took place in my chamber, And some eyebrows are raised as to why I wasn't present. It is a deliberate decision which is upheld by very many legal luminaries, because whatever Mr. Modi told us at that time would have been sullied if I had been present. They would have said that I just padded up things. So he came and we examined. I debriefed Malhotra. He clearly told me nothing of that kind emerged, and that Mr. Modi went very clear. There was nothing against him which we could have pinned on to him. So I'm convinced.
You're convinced. But Mr. Raghavan, what cannot be denied is that more than 1,000 people died. Now, this was a terrible human tragedy. Thousands more were injured. There was terrible loss of life and livelihood. And the riots were widespread. Therefore, the question that one wants to ask, could this have been possible? Could the spread have been so widespread without clear complicity of some elements of the state or political hand?
I'm not competent to comment on that. You remember, we were given 9 cases by the Supreme Court of India. One was probably still under investigation. One failed in court. It was doomed to fail because it appeared the incident occurred late in the evening at a wayside village. We knew it was doomed to fail. We tried our best. We couldn't. In all the other 7 cases, we got enough evidence to prosecute people, and many were convicted. So I'm satisfied that we did justice in these 7 cases. 9 cases probably still in court. I am not competent. It's not proper on my part to mention that. So I'm convinced that there is no evidence whatsoever against Mr. Modi, and my conscience is clear. And so late in the day, when I've only a few months or years to reunite with the divine forces, Almighty, my conscience is clear. And I've said that in my autobiography called The Road Well Traveled. Westland Publishers did that.